Good afternoon. Welcome to my video. My name is Troy Small. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to start a small business. I'm going to give you the first 5 steps in how to start your own small business. And step number 1 is you need to have an idea. So you need to have an understanding of what it is that you're going to be selling to the marketplace. There's a marketplace that is going to need what it is that you sell. So you have to come up with that idea, figure out what is it that I'm going to provide to my consumers or to another business or to a government entity, for instance. So there's a problem out there that someone is having in their business. And what you're doing as a business owner or a potential business owner is you're proposing to provide a solution to their problem. So this is what your product or service is. It's going to be a solution to someone else's problem. And so if you think about it like that, they may help you to kind of figure out how to develop an idea for a business that you may have. Also, you want things you want to think about is what makes your business different from other companies that are in the space that you're trying to get in. What is it that you're doing that's different with your solution that someone else may not be doing? So that's the first step, because you can't just, generally speaking, you don't just start a business and then figure it out from there. You kind of figure out, what you're going to sell, and if people are out there willing to buy that product or that service that you're going to sell. So that is step number 1. Step number 2 is you need to choose a business name. Now, let me kind of stop right here. So this video is about formally forming and starting a business. It is about doing the proper paperwork with proper entities and all of that. So that's what this is about. So this is the proper way to do it. So number 1, have an idea of what you're going to sell. The next thing you want to do is you want to choose a business name. You need to select a business name that is unique to your business and, memorable if possible. But I mean, it doesn't have to be memorable per se. It just needs to be not someone else's name. that's the main point, is just to make sure that you're not infringing on someone else's trademark. You don't want to infringe on an existing trademark or mislead people to make it looks like infringement could be you misleading people because your name is so similar to someone else's that they think you're them. Like an example that comes to mind is, you have McDonald's restaurant, right? And if you called yours McDonald's, was spelled slightly different on the ends, McDonald's and McDonald's. And so that would be, I would think, a pretty close infringement. I think that was on a movie, I believe. There's a movie, I think it was Coming to America, and I think that's the restaurant that was in there. But if not, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But this is very important. Choosing your business name is very important because once again, this is what starts your entire journey, because everything you do from this moment on is going to need your business name, right? So when you start registering and applying and doing stuff, you're going to have to put your business name. So you want to vet that first. You don't want to do that part later, because if you do everything now and you later find out that, oh goodness, I'm using someone else's name and they actually have a trademark, so I definitely can't use it, or I'm going to be sued, right? Now you have to go back and change your name and rebrand, and you've just wasted time, money, and investment in a business name that now you cannot capitalize on because you're not it anymore. So it's important to figure out the business name. So that's the second step in starting a business, is figuring out what you're going to call your business. And there are ways to, let me kind of hang here for a sec. There are ways to figure out, the business name, do internet searches, search on social media, for example, on World Wide Web. and also you could search on county and state websites as well to see if those names are there. So the third step in starting your own small business is you need to determine your legal structure. You need to figure out if you're going to operate as a sole proprietorship, as a partnership, as an LLC, or an S Corp or a C Corp, right? Those business entities, you need to figure out which one of those you're going to be if you're starting a for-profit business. That's important because they have tax implications, and they also have liability and ownership implications as well. So that's very important. Now, once you know your business name and you know your legal entity structure, and why this is important is the next thing you're going to do is you're going to file your fictitious business name filing, or you're doing business as. Now, because if you decide you're going to be an LLC, your business name is going to be ABC LLC, as an example. But if you decided to be a corporation, then your company name would be ABC Inc., INC, right? So when you do your fictitious business name filing, you have to use your formal business name that you're going to be using, which includes the legal structure of your business, whether it is a LLC, limited liability partnership, or some type of a corporation. So, sole proprietors don't have any letters per se behind their business name, in the sense of it's not a corporate entity, because a sole proprietorship is the individual person doing business as themselves. And it's easy to do. It's a quick way to get started, but there's an immense amount of liability and taxation, for that matter, on the actual person, the actual individual. So, but that's what happens. So you file your fictitious business name. This is done at the county level. So the counties are the ones that handle basically the fictitious business name filing. It's also known as a doing business as filing. And you do the appropriate paperwork, and then you will need to post this in a newspaper once a week for 4 weeks. So it needs to be posted in an approved local newspaper that's in general circulation, and the notice must appear for once a week for 4 consecutive weeks. This is your notice to the public that you're doing business as a name other than what your formal business name is. So once again, as an example, if my company was Acme Incorporated, or I'll just use my company. My company is Copper Water Consulting Incorporated, and so I'm an S Corp, and so I use the INC on the back end of my name. So that's my formal business name, but I don't always use the Inc., and others don't either. They just say Copper Water Consulting, and most time they just say Copper Water, right? So you have to do a DBA for a name other than the Inc., like Copper Water Consulting is my DBA, as an example, because I'm doing business in that regard too. So when I receive a check that doesn't have the Inc. on the end, that's still me, right? That's still my company. So that's kind of an example, and that you would be in the same situation, of course. So once you get your notice out, you filed your name. So you got the notice out to the public to tell everyone, hey, this is who I am. This is who I'm doing business as. So you're kind of getting official in that regard. The next thing to do is to really get official. Now you need to register with your state and your local government. And so this would be step 5, is registering your business with the appropriate government entity. So at the state level, what you're going to want to do is file with your Secretary of State. So if you are an LLC or a corporation, you will be filing articles of incorporation at your state level, which is generally with the Secretary of State for your state. if you want to be operating as a sole proprietor. You do not file articles of incorporation because you do not have that requirement, because you are not technically a corporate entity. It is the individual. Once again, putting all the risk on you as a person. So whatever happens with your business comes back on you. Whereas whatever happens with my business does not come back on me. It stays on my business because I am an agent of my business. I'm not it. I am not it. So therefore, if it got really bad, they could not come after my personal assets. They can only go after my business assets. And so that's why it's important to pay attention to if you want to be operating as a sole proprietor or some other more stronger entity as it relates to your risk with tax and liability. So after you file with your state government, and when you do that, you're going to need to have a registered agent on file. Some people use corporations and other companies to be their registered agent. Some people do it themselves, but that's going to need to be done, and some other things with your filing. Particularly if you are an LLC or a corporation, you're going to either need your operating agreement or your shareholders agreement or what have you, showing showing that you have a formal business. So you will need the appropriate paperwork, business filing, or business incorporation paperwork. Okay. Now, so you have filed with your state, right? Your local government per se. That's your state. So let's say that so once you do that, the next step will be, that's 5 steps right there. So I'm going to give you 2 more. So I'm going to give you a bonus 2, because that's 5 right there. But the next thing you want to do is to when you get your state license, you also want to get your business license with your city or your municipality. So if you are in whatever city you are in, you need to check with your local city government and go, and if that's where your business is based in, and you purchase that city's business license. You have to do it because you're in their city. They are allowing you to do business. It's their city. Their city is incorporated as well. And so by the fact that they're allowing you to do business in their city, in their business, they say you pay me a tax, and your tax is this, right? That's basically what it is. And so, but to be legal, this is what you need to do. This probably ranges from anywhere from $70 to $150 or $200. It just depends on where you're at. Now, I will say this. I look at this as just a cost of doing business, because, it would be such a shame to be very, very successful in your business. You're making money, and, you're traveling and you're just kicking it up, right? And yet you haven't filed the appropriate documents as an organization, and therefore you've been doing business, and therefore there's taxes due, and therefore you would be delinquent on or not paying taxes is essentially what it would come down to, particularly if you're really, really, really successful, right? And so because it makes a difference when you're making a lot of money, so that's just kind of how it is. So you want to pay attention to that. And once again, that's if your city, let's say that you live in an unincorporated part of town and you say, well, I don't have a city, my city doesn't require a business license, then check with your county. Check the next level up with your county and check to see if they have a business license requirement. But you want to check and make sure. I know it's counterintuitive to go out and look to spend money on something, but in this case, you're trying to form a business, and these are the proper steps to do it so that you're in proper standing. And so if it requires spending some bucks here or there, hey, that's the cost of doing business. And your mindset should be, well, I just need to get up and running sooner so I can recoup these costs by getting clients. That's how you have to think about it. So once you finish registering with your Secretary of State, right, and you get the business license within your local city and your municipality, you want to contact the IRS and you want to get your employer identification number. You want to get your EIN, also known as your tax ID number, right? But an EIN is a specific type. But you want to get your EIN, and that number is going to be applicable to your company. It's not for you, it's for your company. It's the social security number for your business. And that EIN ultimately will be tied back to you as the owner. It will be somehow tied back to your social. If you notice, it will probably have a couple of digits similar to that, like you have in your social, will be in your EIN as an example. And you want to, so this is very important because you won't be able to get paid by anyone if you don't have an employer an EIN. So this is very important. One other thing I'll say is that if you are a sole proprietor and you do not, and you're operating it like that, but you don't want to use your social security number, you can apply for an EIN and use an EIN as a sole proprietor in place of your social security number. So that is possible. And I'll also say there are some fields out there where being a sole proprietor makes more sense. And so I'm not totally saying don't do it, but it's definitely something that you want to analyze very, very closely to ensure that you're picking the right entity for you and your company. All right, so the last step in this case, as far as starting your business, is just looking out for any other licenses and permits that you might have. Like, you all know I'm very big into federal government contracting. So like if you were going to be going into contracting, this would be the moment that you would consider other types of like certifications, as an example, is something that you would consider, right? That's an industry specific type of thing. Even also, if there's other type of health permits or things like that, that your local or governments may require that you do business, even if you're doing business with consumers or other corporate entities, you definitely want to look into this so that you're getting the proper certificates at the proper time. So that's the video for today. 5 first steps in starting your business. I actually gave you 7. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you found something positive in the video, please go ahead and give me a like. If you like this type of information, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Take care.